In this video, I'm on a mission to cook the rarest seafood in the entire world. From exotic stingray to the world's deadliest fish. I'll be cooking species most people have never even seen. Each seafood is gonna get more and more extreme, and by the end of this video, I will be cooking the rarest lobster that I could get my hands on. But first,
in this box is the most exotic seafood the internet has ever seen. I'm talking over 5 different species that are completely unknown to the Western world.
I've traveled all the way to Vietnam to find these exotic species, and I'm going to do my best to make the most flavorful dish I've ever prepared. So here's the plan. I need to put together the perfect seasoning, properly prepare each ingredient, make a delicious butter dip, and if nothing goes wrong, rate and taste every seafood along the way. But first, let's check out these beautiful creatures.
All right, you guys made it to the point where you see the exotic seafood.
This box is full of the most exotic seafoods that I could find anywhere in Asia. They're seasonal animals, so you won't be able to find these unless you come at the right time of the year.
We have a red prawn right here. As you're looking at it, you notice that it has a very sharp horn on the front of its face. If you get stabbed with this thing, it'll actually go like right through your skin. Ow. They're so sharp. You actually made me bleed. Gotta be careful with these guys. This is the sweetest prawn species out of anyone in the entire ocean. When you're eating them, it's literally like the candy of the sea.
Dealing with live seafood could be extremely messy, and for that reason, we're gonna be counting every stain I get on my shirt.
This is a tiger crab, and to my knowledge, this is also the sweetest crab species in the world. What makes them really unique is their pattern. They kind of resemble a blue crab in a lot of ways, specifically like the body structure. These guys can easily take a pinky finger off, so you gotta be careful around them. That's why we have them tied, because I don't wanna mess with this thing. If he accidentally gets me, it's gonna be the end of the video very quickly. Now this right here is a zebra crab, one of the most colorful crab species on the planet. It has a blue pattern, really resembling a cheetah. It's a super vibrant blue all the way from its legs to its shell to its swimmer and swimmerettes. And I've actually never eaten one of these, so this is gonna be a first time for me too. This is called a slipper lobster. This lobster species is my all-time favorite. From what I've seen, usually like Eastern crustaceans are a lot sweeter, so I'm hoping that that's the same with this one. Either way, it's very excited to cook it. This is the painted crayfish, okay? It's the most colorful lobster species in the entire world, and you can only find them in the Eastern hemisphere. I particularly like eating this lobster species as sashimi, but I think boiling it will be very different. Also, they use these things to like protect themselves, so if I'm going at it from the front, it's gonna try to smack me with it. This right here is the hairy crab. It's the world's hairiest crab, and to my knowledge, the only crab that actually has hair. Correct me if the comments if I'm wrong on that. This species is only found in Southeast Asia, and usually when you buy seafood, you buy it by the weight. So as they're weighing them, the only thing I'm thinking about is all this hair is retaining water. So I know I'm buying like at least half an ounce just of pure water, and they're very expensive. This crab was 240 USD. It's honestly one of my favorite animals in the entire world. Looking at the bottom of it, I could tell it's a male, and the male hairy crabs taste different than the female hairy crabs. Their meat is really comparable to a king crab, except it's a lot sweeter, and it has that like red meat pull that king crabs have. So I'm really excited about this guy.
At the end of this video, I'll be rating each of these species based off their flavor. The most unique dish takes the crown. But before we get cooking, we've got some prep work to do.
The world's most exotic seafood boil deserves extremely exotic seasonings.
That's why I'm carefully measuring each ingredient to make the most flavorful seafood boil on the internet. And you'll know they're mixed once all the seasonings are indistinguishable from one another. Now that the flavor is taken care of, it's time for the veggies.
And we have a lot of them. We're gonna need a total of 20 cloves of garlic, so just get to cracking them as fast as you can. Next, you have your corn. You're gonna shuck it so that you just have the knobs. Cut off their heads and snap them in half, and if they're still too big, cut them into even smaller pieces. After that, you have your limes. Just cut them in half and you're good to go. Then you have your potatoes. Some people like to peel them, but I'm gonna put them in. Potato skin is the healthiest part of any potato. Go in with your 2 onions, cut them, and make sure you don't start to cry like I did. I should really start wearing protection for these. Lastly, cut your oranges. I got this green orange that I've only ever seen in Asia.
Now that we have all of these ingredients prepped, it's time to start cooking.
For your seafood boil, I definitely recommend using the biggest pot you could find. Because I just came here spontaneously, an 11-liter pot is the biggest one I have. You want your water to be saltier than the ocean so that the seafood keeps its oceany taste. I'm using pink Himalayan salt, and I'm very generous with it. Now you have to put your seasonings into your pot. Make sure you save about 1/4 of it because the rest is gonna go into the butter. Make sure you give it a good stir as well. All of the seasonings should start to dissolve into the water. Because the water is gonna take a little bit to boil, we're gonna start to prep our butter. I have 12 cloves of garlic right here, and I'm gonna thinly chop them until they're all into little cubes. We're about to put 2 entire sticks of butter into a pan. I prefer salted butter at all times. If you get unsalted butter, it'll just taste a little bit off. As your butter is melting, you're gonna put all that garlic you just chopped up right into it. Once the butter is simmering, you're gonna put in the rest of your seasonings to it. Make sure you get an even spread as it goes in. Mix it all in really, really well. We want those seasonings to just completely marinate with this butter. This is gonna be the best thing you've ever tasted in your life. And above all, make sure that it's on a really low heat. Feel free to taste your butter as it's happening. That's insane. If you feel like it's missing something, you could just add any seasonings. It's not too late. Right before your water starts to boil, you're gonna put in all your veggies and fruit except for the corn and potatoes. Now that everything is in there, get a good mix going. That's pretty good.
We're gonna start by adding in the painted crayfish, then our slipper lobster, tiger crabs, zebra crabs, and...
oh! Lastly, we're gonna put in the hairy crab. I broke it down because it's just such a big crab. I'd rather it just be all solidified. I made sure to leave the head because this crab butter is the best part. Make sure you put in all the juices that came out of the seafood. That's gonna give it that really seafoody taste, but not like fishy, just the seafood taste that you want.
And looking at this clip, I'm realizing I completely stained my shirt off camera. So here's the count.
I also have a bunch of sausages to make it that like Cajun flavor. Make sure the sausages all get in the water. Once it's been boiling for a bit, I'm gonna put a whole stick of butter in. I'll be real, I was supposed to put this in a while ago, but I totally forgot. Put her in on top. Come on. We're also gonna put in the potatoes right now. They take a little bit less time to cook, so that's why we put them in late. After your potatoes have been in there for 10 minutes, you're gonna turn the heat off and put in your corn once the heat is off.
Guys, this boil is looking delicious and it's almost time to try it. I've traveled across the world to find these ingredients and I'm hoping they don't disappoint.
The moment you guys have been waiting for, it's finally time for the seafood dump. All right, here we go. Ow, I just burned myself.
Now that we've cooked up some seriously exotic seafoods, it's time for a taste test. I'll be rating each dish from 1 to 10 based on flavor and shock factor.
First up for the taste test, we're gonna do a prawn, because it's so easy. I'm gonna grab a prawn. This is what it looks like after cooked. Oh, it's so hot. Got our seasoned butter on the side, waiting for dip. Dipping it in. Here we go. Wow. It's pretty hard to beat.
Now that I've gotten a taste, it's time for my analysis. Tiger prawn are incredibly sweet, and the seasonings added amazing contrast to make it a salty, savory treat. 8.6 out of 10.
Now we're gonna try the slipper lobster. This is what it looks like after cooked. So these guys are actually kind of fun to open up. They have an incredibly hard shell. Oh, ow. Okay, we're just gonna go. Wow, it's so hot. Potato to wash it down. Woo!
This lobster takes on the flavor of the boil better than most because it's pretty bland on its own. It's a good thing I had the seasoned butter dip to back this up. 7.2 out of 10.
Gonna try the painted crayfish. This is what it looks like after cooked. Ow, ow. Oh wow, look at that. Got a nice little piece of that one. Dip in the butter. I have a little something to say about that one.
I've always been an undercover hater for the painted crayfish because it's not as savory as the other lobster species. This makes it good for sashimi, but not as good for the boil. 6.9 out of 10.
Look at the color that this tiger crab came out. This is what it looks like after cooked. Going in for the filet mignon of the crab meat right now. This is the crab meat, you don't need any butter. A lot of shell, but that's really good.
This crab is a solid contender for the #1 spot. It soaked up the garlic flavor and was extremely tender. 8.6 out of 10.
The zebra crab transformed into like a vibrant red. This is what it looks like after cooked. Wow, you could just see that it's burning hot. Wow.
This tastes just like a blue crab, which is one of my favorites. Putting this at an 8.4 out of 10.
Last up, we've got the hairiest of them all, the hairy crab. Curious about this guy. This is the crab meat right over here. Gonna dip this guy in the butter.
The best part about this one is that you don't have to do such an insane amount of work for the meat. Got a nice chunk of flavor very easily. 9.2 out of 10. And if you thought those species were crazy, now it's time to show you guys the world's deadliest fish. This is a stonefish, the most venomous fish in the world, and one wrong move while handling it could be deadly. Vietnam is home to some of the most unique seafoods I've ever seen, including the most dangerous. I've spent years trying to find this, but is chasing the perfect bite really worth risking everything? Here's the plan. Take it out without getting stung, fillet it without touching any spines, cook it and eat it. And at the end, I have to give one part of the dish 5 stars, no matter how bad it is. By the end of this video, I'll find out if chasing this fish was worth the risk, or just a really dumb way to die.
This is no joke, okay? This is definitely extremely dangerous, what I'm about to do. I could die. With that being said, I have someone on standby for the hospital. This is Joe. How far is the nearest hospital?
5 minutes.
Oh, clutch. Let's open this, man. All right, boys, let's get it.
This is the part I've been dreading. Inside this box is the most venomous fish on Earth.
This thing is so cool looking, bro. This fish is so venomous that it doesn't have a fight or flight reflex. So you know how people have like fight, flight, or freeze?
Stonefish are so toxic that they don't run or hide. They just sit there, waiting. because one sting can stop a human heart.
It's so confident in its ability to defend itself with its venom that it just trusts whatever animal is attacking it will eventually go away because it gets stung. So obviously right now when you're looking at it, like it's in a white tank, you could clearly see it, but usually these things are in tide pooly areas, and when they're surrounded by rocks, you cannot distinguish this thing from a rock no matter what you do. His whole predatory technique is just staying still and waiting for a minnow to come up. They're just gonna do a big suck and the thing is gonna go right into its stomach. In theory, I should be able to just grab this thing. I'm freaking out. Don't let this smile. This is a nervous smile right now. I should be able to pick this thing up. Now, if this thing, holy guys, holy there's a spine right next to, I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out. This is so stupid. He's facing me, bro. Look at what he just did. He just faced me.
That's not a coincidence. He sees me as a threat, and he's ready.
He's not letting me get behind him. He knows I'm bad news for him. He's bad news for me, buddy. It's you or me right now.
That spine right there is razor sharp. This thing has 13 venomous spines, each one capable of paralyzing you, or worse. People have ended up in the ER just from stepping on these things, and here I am trying to eat it. So I should be safe grabbing him from the front. But that's also where his face is, which is not ideal.
Picked up, gang. Wait, that's stupid. That's stupid. That was almost lethal mistake. You just forget, bro. You just like...
This just might be the dumbest thing I've ever done on camera, but I'm officially holding a stonefish.
He has two main back straps or side fillets, okay?
The meat we're going for is just behind the spines. These two back straps right here. This next part is the most dangerous part of the entire cook.
I need to be especially careful when handling him right now because he has his venomous spines along his gills as well. They still envenomate you even when they're passed away. We're gonna cut right along his fin area. Bro, look at that meat. And now what the plan is you have to run your knife along his spine right over here.
I'm not gonna lie, this is the part where I start panicking a little bit. One slip and this might be the last fish I ever fillet.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That was close, man. That was really close. That was sketch.
In Japan, chefs train for years trying to prepare this safely. Meanwhile, I'm in a kitchen in Vietnam with zero training.
So you see, as I'm cutting him, I'm just running it along his spine. Every time I run into a bone, I go ahead and just cut the bone out. Dang, hell yeah, yo. And I'm looking at this stonefish. It's actually pregnant. This is a roe sack right over here.
Fish roe can either be a delicacy or taste completely pungent. So yeah, we're gonna cook it.
This is what you're left with after filleting the side of the stonefish. And we need to get off its skin. We're gonna flip it so that its meat is face up. And we're gonna cut away from us and hold the skin as a little handle. Oh my gosh. That's a fillet of a freaking stonefish, guys. Can you believe that? We're gonna do the same thing to this side.
The skin's elastic and super weird to cut. This thing is wild.
I can officially say that I successfully filleted a stonefish without dying. Disposing of the stonefish, it's still venomous, so we gotta make sure that no one touches that. All right, we're good. This is what the fillet looks like after it's been cut.
Even though this meat looks safe to eat, if I missed a single venom sac, I can die.
What I'm particularly excited about trying is the roe off of this thing. The roe was a wild card, okay? I would have never expected that he was pregnant.
Let's see what the most venomous fish in the world tastes like. Here's a rundown of what's going on this stonefish. Garlic, onion, salt, black pepper, chili flakes.
Whenever you're crushing up garlic, you need to use your hand on the back of a knife and you just, ow. After you crush it, it should be really easy to get the individual cloves out. So do this until you have all the garlic cloves that you want. Next, you're gonna cut your onion. I can't believe I just did that. I'm only gonna do a quarter garlic because it's pretty strong. Always make sure you peel that outer layer so that you don't get any skin on it. Once you have all that you cut up, you're gonna dice it.
Preparing this fish is bittersweet because on one end, it's been a life goal of mine to cook this since I was a kid. But on the other, I am very afraid that I will go into anaphylactic shock.
After that, you're gonna get your fish and now it's ready to be seasoned. Oh, it's moving. The mussels right now are reacting to the salt and pretty intensely too. So that's pretty cool. Just a little bit of chili powder for color.
Okay, this might not look like a lot of seasoning for you, but it is for me.
Pat the seasonings into the fish so that it really stays in there. Most of your seasonings fall off of whatever you're cooking whenever you're cooking it, so you wanna make sure they're as deep as possible in the fish. Repeat this for all your fillets. I'm not gonna season the roe just because it's gonna pick up all the extra seasonings in the pan.
We've got 2 fillets, 1 roe sack, and 0 idea how this will taste. I'm also concerned because consuming stonefish venom can paralyze my entire body from the neck down if I did it wrong. So here goes nothing.
The first step you're gonna do is put a big old dollop of butter in your pan. Go ahead and spread your butter all across the pan. Once the butter is starting to melt, you're gonna put your garlic and your onion in. Let this simmer until your onion starts to turn a little bit crispy, and that's how you know the butter is nice and flavorful. Once the butter starts to brown, you know it's ready for you to put your fish in.
You've gotta watch it. Fish cooks fast, and the roe finishes way before the fillets do.
The roe is gonna need a lot less time for the fillets. The fillets are a really fat piece of meat. The roe is just It's kind of like fish eggs, you know? You could ideally eat them raw, but we're gonna cook them obviously. After about 20 seconds, I'm gonna give it a flip. Right now the roe is done. It's been like 40 seconds, so we're gonna get it off the plate. After about 2 minutes, or when you see the underside of the fillets turn really white, that's how you know to flip the stonefish fillets. That color is perfect. You also want it on a really low heat when you're doing this.
And just like that, we've cooked the world's most venomous fish. But I still have no idea if it tastes any good. When it comes to eating fish, there are 3 categories that matter most. First, how mild the flavor is. Second, how good it actually tastes, rated from 1 to 5. And third, how tender the texture is. Oh, and the roe, that gets its own category.
Here we go. Wow, cut right through it. This is a good sign.
I've spent years trying to find this, but is chasing the perfect bite really worth risking everything?
Wow. Yellow piece of garlic with it.
Let's break it down. First up, mildness. It's smooth, not fishy, reminds me of snapper or yellowtail. I'd give it a 4.5 out of 5. Texture-wise, I am not a fan. It's bouncy, spongy, and not flaky like most fish. So instead of tenderness, I'm calling this the consistency scale, and it's only getting 1.5 stars.
It's honestly pretty bland as well. I think I needed a lot more seasoning. I only seasoned one side each. I would give it like a 1.5.
But there's still one wild card left. The roe. And at the beginning of the video, I promised to give something on this dish 5 stars. Can it save the meal?
This is the roe right here. We're just gonna go in for it. Wow, incredible. The roe is super creamy. Took on the taste of the garlic and the butter really good.
I'd give the roe a 5. That's the one I'm giving 5 stars to. Solid save. These have been some of the most insane seafoods that I've ever seen. But at the end of this video, I'm cooking the rarest lobster I could find. These next species are going to blow your mind because this is the rarest crab in the entire world.
Oh! But before I show you guys what it looks like,
I'm cooking and eating some of the most exotic seafoods on the planet. Shark, a very colorful stingray, and so much more. But first, let's start with this massive Japanese cuttlefish, one of the largest squid species in Asia with a bioluminescent glow.
look at how long its tentacles are. I'm holding it. Oh, that scared me so bad. The reason I'm so excited about these is because their diet mainly consists of crustaceans. And because of that, they're gonna have a very sweet meat. And it's so interesting, as you touch him, he's changing colors. He's really trying to display his threat techniques. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my fillet knife and cut him right along here.
Because cuttlefish rely mainly on their camouflage in the wild, being invisible has become second nature to them. But once they're dead, all of those camouflage cells relax, causing the squid to lose all of its color. And if you're lucky, you might even find the ink sac.
How do we feel? Does it look cool?
And if you think this squid is crazy, keep watching because as the video goes on, the seafood is going to get more and more extreme, and who knows, maybe we'll cook something that breaks the scale.
Now, the parts of the cuttlefish you're gonna eat are two parts. So first, you're gonna eat the head of it, just like this. The tentacles you can pretty much make calamari out of. Whoa, look, it's still sticking to my hand. Yo. That was crazy. The second part you're gonna eat is the outside of its head.
The process of filleting a cuttlefish is pretty inky, so we're gonna skip to when we actually have the meat.
We're gonna start by picking your favorite seasoning. I'm going with lime leaf pepper salt, ground black pepper, and Korean chili powder. Now you're gonna go in with your favorite stuffing. I'm going with fried rice. Roll it up like this. Nice. Okay, beautiful.
Because cuttlefish meat is gelatinous, it takes no time to cook at all. After just 5 minutes, it was ready to eat.
We're gonna go ahead and cut it right down the middle, like this, and like this.
And now to taste my first meal.
All right, here we go.
As you can see from my very descriptive reaction, I have some thoughts.
Okay.
Knock the cuttlefish off the bucket list. This is one of the coolest seafoods I've ever tried. Only thing is that I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to get this ink off my face very easily. 4 out of 10.
This next one can take a finger off of me, so I have to be careful grabbing it. Oh my God. That was terrifying. That thing is flexible, man. That thing is super flexible. He's gonna try to get me.
We had to get everything needed for our recipe, but that's a lot easier said than done when you're dealing with a live shark.
Thank you, Mr. Shark. I feel bad, man.
We donated the remaining meat and we're left with all the ingredients we needed.
We've got their dorsal, pectoral, and anal fins. We're gonna get our shark fins into a very aggressive boil. Once your fins are in, you're gonna go ahead and cover it up.
The fins will eventually boil down to only meat and tendon, which means it's ready to be put into the ramen.
Boom, boom. We're gonna be putting in yellow peppers, red peppers, and spring onion. Let the shark fins simmer with all the other ingredients, and then you're ready to be served. Gonna start out with the broth. This is what the shark looks like. We're gonna try a piece of just this. A lot of cartilage in that.
Not gonna lie, the shark kind of blended in with the ramen. I could hardly taste it. Final note, needs more shark. 3 out of 10.
This next sea creature is debatably the prettiest one we're gonna see all night. Into my big box of sea creatures. Whoa. Oh, let's see, does this guy have a stinger? Hey, 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 hey! This is the most colorful stingray species in the world.
Let's get cooking.
There are 2 fillets on each side, one above the piece of cartilage, one below the piece of cartilage. A lot of people will get a cookie cutter and cut a circle out of stingrays, and it'll kind of look like scallops, and they taste like scallops too. So if they're able to get that cookie cutter and just pass it off, it's like easily making double the money. We're just going with a huge dollop of butter. You wanna make sure the pan is hot when you put your stingray in, and you could tell because it'll start sizzling right when you put it in. You can tell they're ready when you can kind of just poke through and it has no resistance to cutting it. Finish it off with a garnish. I'm going with green onion. Damn, that smells so fire. I'm excited. Okay.
Stingray is probably some of my favorite meat because it has so many striations throughout it, making it super tender. I'd totally eat this again. 7 out of 10.
I'm happy to say that this one doesn't have a chance of hurting me, but it is pretty bizarre. Into my big box of secrets. Oh, oh! No, I'm just kidding. Look at this guy. Look at him. This snail is reminiscent of a conch. It's absolutely massive, okay? It's the biggest thing I've ever held. A cool fact about these snails is that the shell grows with them throughout their entire life. So they start pretty small, and then before you know it, they become these monsters. The only way to get it out of its shell is by boiling it, and that's why we have a pot of water right over there. I've got a very aggressive boil going on right now.
After letting it boil for 10 minutes, it's ready to be cracked.
Wow, look at him. After we have the body of the snail out of its shell, we're gonna cut the meat, which is in the front of its body. This right here are its eyes. I think that's so cool.
And what's even cooler is one of the next meals I'm cooking will contain one of the hairiest animals in the ocean.
Once you have your snail thinly cut, you're gonna get seaweed salad and put a healthy amount on your plate. Next, you're gonna put some chili sauce on it, and lastly, place your snail, okay? This is the bite we're gonna do right here. Has snail, has seaweed. Let's give it a taste.
So many flavors in my mouth at once. The crunchiness of the seaweed went very well with the difference in texture from the snail. 8 out of 10.
You really just want to see the hairiest crab in the world, huh? Have you been here the whole time for that? Oh, dude, this thing is so cool looking. This is a big, hairy crab, bro. You guys thought I was kidding, huh? Ow, ow, spiky hairy crab. Whoa, this thing is so hairy, bro. It has hair coming out of its legs. It has hair coming out of the bottom of its body, out of the top of its body. It literally even has eyelashes, okay? So the thing I'm most curious about is I really want to see if I could shave this thing. Okay, so we're just gonna flip her upside down. We're just gonna see if it works. It worked, it worked. Look, this is living proof, okay? In the comments, I want you to tell me if you would eat this and how much you think it cost, because it's actually surprising, but I'm not gonna tell you. We're just gonna put him right into the pot. Ah, he's like, you betrayed me.
Boiling time.
Go and get your hairy crab. Oh my God. Oh, wow, that's a big freaking crab, man. Put it right into the ice water. You put them in the ice water so that the meat solidifies afterwards. You also wanna make sure that all of the water that you use is salted. This is gonna make it so that your crustacean keeps that salty flavor from the ocean. Once your hairy crab has been in the ice water for like 5 minutes, you're gonna take it out. Now that is a cooked hairy crab, if I've ever seen one. And that is what the hairy crab meat looks like.
Say what you want about this thing. I think the more hair, the more flavor. 8 out of 10.
Now, out of all these seafoods, only one of them can be the best. And that's the whole point of what we did today. Out of every single seafood you saw me cook today, the one that I liked the most was probably that giant snail. Definitely the giant snail.
But now it's time to head to California and spend a ridiculous amount of money because
in front of me are some of the world's most expensive fish, and behind them is the worst chef in YouTube history. But today, I'm putting every penny on the line.
from massive tuna to emerald seafood, I'll have to fillet, cook, and rate them all. And by the end, I'll attempt to make a perfect paella, one of the most difficult seafood recipes on the planet, all by myself.
Before I show you guys the first fish, I have a seafood mystery box. Inside is a live seafood, and at the end of this video, I'm gonna be opening and eating whatever is inside of it completely raw. Ugh, I know, right?
And now it's time to check out these expensive species.
In my hand right now is a monchong. It's actually a native Hawaiian fish. Something that really makes me excited about these guys is how long their fins are. Their dorsal fin up top is like a statement piece. It's like someone that wears a mohawk. And then you see even their pectoral fins, it's almost the length of like their entire body, which is kind of unique for most fish species. Another thing I really like about them is that they're super rounded. They have really sharp teeth. It is a predatory fish. It's not down down there eating grass or anything. This thing is eating other fish. So, ow, I actually just cut myself on its teeth. Look. All right, now that we know exactly what we're dealing with, we're gonna start to fillet this guy. We're gonna start with this size fillet knife, but as this video goes on, not only are the fish gonna get bigger, but the knives are gonna have to get bigger too. Step 1 to filleting this fish is lifting its oversized fin.
And then you make an incision right behind the rib cage. You've got to be very precise with every cut, otherwise you risk ruining your fillet.
It didn't work. It literally didn't work. Oh, that one worked.
Now that the first cut is made, it's time to run your blade along the spine of the fish.
And then after that, I'm gonna go ahead and put my hands kind of in the crevice of its meat. And you're kind of gonna run that knife along the inside of the fish. Just make sure you get a clean cut. Bro, cutting this fish is literally giving me anxiety. I'm supposed to cut a full-size tuna after this that cost me thousands. And I'm like, I can't even fillet this freaking mampachi or whatever. Like, yo. It might not be the prettiest fillet, but it's mine. Even with half of it missing, it's still pretty freaking heavy. Okay.
Up next, we have the mahi-mahi.
What a lot of people don't know about the mahi is that it's the fastest growing fish in the entire ocean. When it's originally born, it's like the size of your pinky, and by the end of the year, it's 15 pounds. Guys, think about that for a sec. Something going from this size to literally this size in 365 days. If you do I'm not gonna do the math actually. Another cool thing about them is that they have a very unique speckled pattern on the bottom of the fish, and it's like literally emerald colored. You don't see a lot of fish that are this color in the ocean. Not only is it the fastest growing fish and one of the fastest in the ocean, it's also one of the most delicious. I learned my lesson last time. I'm actually gonna put gloves on. Okay, let's get into it. The cool part about this mahi is that it's like a normal freaking fish, all right? The last one was like the size of the moon. So we're gonna go ahead and make this first incision right behind the head, and its meat is gorgeous. Like, it's actually so beautiful. And we're gonna go ahead and follow the spine line all the way down. Once you make your like 1-inch incision, you're gonna start going deeper into the fish gradually. So what I like to do is I'll lift one side of the meat, right? And then after that, I make small little cuts until I'm all the way through. By no means rushing it. At one point, you're gonna get to the point in the fish where you could kind of just lift it from the back, and all of this meat is gonna present itself, and then you're just gonna go ahead, make those final cuts through the rib. Oh, look, it's pregnant. It's actually pregnant. Look, this is all roe. These are all baby dolphin, okay? And funny enough, a lot of people eat this, the roe, but we're not gonna. This is what our mahi fillet looks like. It's actually super beautiful.
Now that we're done with the mahi-mahi, it's time to move on to our next fish.
In front of me is a wahoo. Oh, this one's kind of heavy, I'm not gonna lie. This is one of the best eating fish in the world. This fish is incredibly aerodynamic. So it's like a torpedo, okay? If you ever see them in the water, it'll be there and then it won't be. Time to make the first cut. We're gonna go ahead and do that angled cut. Wow, this fish's meat is beautiful. It's like very white. And now we're gonna go ahead and run down along the spine of the fish. Wow. This whole time I'm filleting these fish, I'm so excited to cut that tuna. Wow, look at how white this freaking fish is, man. It's so beautiful. Dude, this is awesome. Oh my gosh, that's a fillet and a half right there. Look at that. The quality of this meat is so good that I want to have it raw. All right, so I'm slicing very thin. That's super fire. I don't even want to cook this. I could just eat the whole thing as sushi. But we have the next fish to fillet.
And oh boy, is our next fish a big one.
He's slippery. Get the shot. Get the shot. This fish is called an opa, and it's very closely related to a sunfish. Oh, bro, I feel like this thing, it's hazardous. It's hazardous to handle, but we're gonna keep going. All over this fish are a lot of speckled spots, and you might be wondering, what is its defense mechanism? I'm so glad you asked. It has none. No defense, it's not fast, it can't run. It actually just gets eaten by sea lions, okay? Their main defense mechanism is having millions of babies at once. This creature produces such an insane amount of offspring that that's how it survives, okay? You come across them and they're practically an easy meal. The only thing cooler than this fish is the way that you fillet it.
And it's time to upgrade our knives to something a bit bigger.
First, you're gonna fillet the body of it. And how you're gonna do that is going right up the side of it, all the way up to its spine line, down the spine line, and through the tail. All right, so as you're cutting into it, you need to avoid this big fin area. All right, now we're gonna go into the spine line. I feel like a freaking samurai with this knife. Oh, that was sick, that was sick. Oh my gosh. I'm gassed. This is a big fish. Okay, all right. I think I finished the loin. Wow, what a beautiful fish. This is what the fillet looks like. I'm scared of the tuna. I don't want to fillet a bigger fish.
It's time to conquer my fears and use what I've learned for our final fish.
This is a tuna, and this specific tuna is called a yellowtail tuna. These guys are actually absolutely beautiful in the wild. They have two fins that are really long that extend out beside them. Once they're commercially caught and harvested, those fins are cut off because like it's just unnecessary surface area. This fish gets between 6 to 8 feet long and can weigh up to 400 pounds. Believe it or not, this is a small one, but very expensive one. This cost me thousands of dollars. I'm actually, guys, please like this video and subscribe. Like I really need it. Tuna are the most aerodynamic fish in the entire ocean. So for that reason, they have one of the top speeds in the ocean. They are constantly hunting sardines, and they're kind of like moving tanks in the water, okay? When they hit your bait, or like if you're fishing them, whatever you're doing, they strike fast, okay? They attack fast. Something else I'm looking at is you might have noticed that there's a chunk of the tail missing. And the reason why is because this is such a valued fish that right when it's caught, they cut a portion of the tail out, specifically to look at the quality of meat of the fish. The reason that I'm particularly scared about this fish is because this is the one where if I have one wrong cut or miss even a little bit of it, I'm losing hundreds of dollars. Like actually, that's not a joke. So we have to make sure we do it right. And for that reason,
it's time to bust out the double knives.
It's all right, ladies and gents, the moments we've all been waiting for. One wrong swipe and it's all over. I lose hundreds of dollars. All right, we're just gonna do it. You just gotta do everything with confidence these days. If you don't know what you're doing, pretend like you do. So I've made my first cut, all right? And then after the first cut, we're gonna follow down the spine line like I've been doing with most of the fish. I need my second knife. This knife I'm putting in the top to hold as a stabilizer. This knife I'm gonna be doing the cutting with. Now, it's really important to follow the spine line best you're able to, because that's how you're gonna get the most yield out of the fish. Ugh. Now we're gonna cut the top loin of this tuna. So we're gonna put our knives in at the entry point. Okay, we're gonna put our hand at this side of the knife and we're gonna just finish the cut. Nice, beautiful. Now we're gonna do the same with this knife over here. Wow. This is some beautiful fish meat. Okay, all right, guys, I think I did it. I think I well, I know I did it, actually. Look at this piece of tuna. Isn't that awesome? The crazy part about this cut on the tuna is that even though it's, like, I think I did pretty well, I didn't do perfect. And the reason I say that is because I see an entire line of meat that I missed right over here. People pay $100 for this at a sushi restaurant, like no BS.
I've successfully filleted each of these very expensive fish, but now it's time to see if I have what it takes to properly cook each of them. I'm going to have to prep my ingredients, add everything to the stove, and try not to burn these fish.
These are the fillets from the fish, and now we need to prep our ingredients, which are
corn, peppers, onions, parsley, tomato, lemon, and garlic.
Start out with your corn. What you're gonna do is peel each individual piece. Once you've got all your corn, you're gonna go ahead and chop the top part of it off because it's like the stalk. You don't want that in your food. Now you're gonna cut all of the individual pieces of corn off your cob. We just need a few. We're gonna put all of this corn into the bowl. Now for the peppers, you're gonna go ahead and take all of the tops off. Now that you have your peppers cut, they all have seeds on the inside. So you don't want these seeds in your dish. So what you're gonna do is go ahead and pretty much just remove the middle of them. A little tip whenever you're cooking. Listen, you could be a bad chef, but at least do it safely, okay? You're gonna go ahead and take your knife and you're pretty much gonna pinch the base of the blade with your thumb and index finger. When you pinch the blade like this, it's pretty much gonna be an extension of your hand, and then the other hand you're gonna turn into a claw. And then from there, you're gonna go ahead and cover your food so that, oh my God, I almost just cut myself. See, even like with the safety tips, you could really mess up. So you gotta be careful when using knives. I've yet to find a trick that doesn't make me cry when I cut onions. So if you have one, please comment. I don't like a whole lot of tomato personally, so we're just gonna cut a little bit of it, maybe like a third of the tomato. Time for your garlic. I like a lot of garlic, so I'm gonna put like this whole clove in. Time for a lemon. Oh, I hit it! That was sick, okay. Parsley, we're just gonna cut some of the tops off. And then we're gonna go ahead and chop this very thin and make sure you don't cut your hands.
Now it's time to add everything to the stove. This is where I really can't mess up.
We're gonna start by putting in olive oil. So we're gonna use a decent amount because it's a big pan and we're making a lot of paella. And after that, you're gonna go ahead and sprinkle in some little finely chopped pieces of bacon.
While I wait for the bacon to sizzle, it's time to add everything I prepped earlier, plus some butter, seasonings, white wine, and rice.
The rice is gonna soak up all of like that seasoning and white wine mixture, so it's gonna taste like super, super flavorful. And you're gonna wanna make sure that you have like a super even layer on your rice in the pan. And a way to make sure that that happens is You just give your pan a little shake and then it'll go ahead and even out. We're also gonna add in our parsley right now. We're gonna let this cook for 1 minute just like this. And after that, you're gonna go ahead and use chicken broth. We need it to come to a boil, so don't be afraid to put in a decent amount of chicken broth. You're gonna cook this for 15 to 18 minutes uncovered, and that's so all of the extra juices kind of evaporate out. And it's gonna reduce so that you just have like the rice and all the things that you're eventually gonna eat at the end. While we wait, I wanna remind you that I need to eat this live animal at the end of the video completely raw. So we're just gonna wait for this to cook for 15 to 18. Hey, settle down in there. All right, you'll get your turn.
Now it's time to add in our frozen peas and corn. I love peas.
Now, for the moment we've all been waiting for, it's finally time to add the seafood. Hey, you settle down in there, all right? That was kind of hard. I kind of feel bad, but it's okay. I'm gonna eat it, so who cares, you know?
These fillets are my masterpieces, and I need to carefully cook these in order for this dish to turn out as good as I'm hoping.
But first, you need to chop it very thinly, so here we go. There we go. Oh, it came out pretty good. At this point, you're gonna just start to nestle your seafood into this mixture. Now that your fish is in there, you're gonna let it cook uncovered for 5 more minutes, and then you're gonna put your top back on.
And after 5 minutes, it's time to mix everything together.
We're just gonna go ahead and kind of mix this up right now. So, am I the best chef on YouTube now? And now, because you want even cooking, you're always gonna shake it out before you leave it again. It's like a workout. And now you're gonna put your cover on and leave it on for another 10 minutes while all of this kind of cooks together. The frozen peas are gonna become unfrozen. The fish is gonna fully cook through. It's gonna be gas.
Now that I've patiently waited 10 minutes, it's time to take this pan off the heat, plate each fish, and add some lemon on top of it all.
Great, now they're ready to try.
I'm going to be rating each dish based off how flavorful they are and if I would buy them again to see if these expensive options are actually worth it.
First up, we're gonna try the monchong. Wow, I know what I think.
As zombie looking as the monchong was, it kind of tasted like most other fish. It had that flaky, mild consistency to it, which is kind of reliable. 7.2 out of 10.
Next up is the mahi-mahi, and I know it's that one because this one is like super, super white meat. Damn, this is a beautiful piece of fish right here. Okay, here we go. Eureka! No, I hated that. Don't use that.
While the mahi-mahi might look super pretty, on the inside its meat was kind of mushy compared to the other fish. It kind of lacked that firm texture that I was really hoping for. 6.4 out of 10.
Now we have the wahoo, and it's the wahoo because it's a very firm piece of meat. Like you could definitely tell that it's a wahoo. Wow.
The wahoo isn't just one of the coolest looking fish, it's also one of the best tasting. Its meat held up super firm, took good flavor on from the paella, and was very flaky, which is something I really enjoy in fish. 7.8 out of 10.
Time for the opa. This one's a little different.
The opa was atrocious. Not only was the meat extremely gelatin-like, it also seeped out a lot of oil and definitely ran its flavor harder than any other fish. 3.6 out of 10.
And now, the most expensive plate out of all of these. Time for the tuna, and I could tell it's the tuna because of the striations in the meat. It kind of just looks like, it looks a little different, all right? It's much more white. The tuna turns white when it's cooked. Time to see if I wasted thousands of dollars or not. Wow.
Yellowtail tuna is something you really can't go wrong with. Whether you're eating it raw or cooked in a perfect paella, it will always hold the consistency of the tuna even when it's cooked. 9.1 out of 10.
Okay, time to eat whatever is in this box. There could be an entire rhinoceros in here, and I would have to eat it. All right, let's see. And of course it's this thing. All right, how am I even gonna do this? Ow, that actually hurt. Okay, here it is, a live sea urchin. All right, no cooking this thing. Oh.
That didn't taste great, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna enjoy my next meal because
in this box is some of the most popular seafood the world has ever seen.
From juicy lobster to buttery salmon, I'm going to be cooking everything. And some of these are dishes that people crave the most.
But one of these dishes has a secret that you don't know about, and it might just change the way that you see it forever.
At the end of this video, a mystery YouTuber will be tasting and rating each one to find out which seafood is truly the best. Here's the plan. I need to properly prepare each ingredient, cook the seafood to perfection, and make this the most beautiful seafood boil the world has ever seen.
First, let's show you the seafood we'll be cooking. These are spotted prawns. They have these super long whiskers, and they're gonna be used for sensing everything around them. Now, the reason they call them spotted prawns is because they have spots all over the bottom of their tail. If you move their swimmer and swimmerettes, you see that their tail meat is significantly thinner than it looks compared to its shell. Because they have so much water in their head, when you introduce them to a dish, they introduce this nice salty flavor, but that's only if you use the head. A lot of people only use the tails. They're missing out big time. So this is what I'm very excited about.
As excited as I am, I can't help but wonder if this is the seafood with the dark secret. Time to check out our next species.
This is a salmon, aka the most popularly sold fish all across America. Salmon live in the ocean their entire lives, and then as they go to spawn, they go into the rivers where they slowly start to decompose as they make their offspring. So oftentimes you'll see people like catching salmon in the rivers and stuff, and you see them coming back and they look like they're literally dying. That's because they are. This is like a grizzly bear's main source of food, but today it's going in our seafood boil.
Up next, we have a blue crab.
The reason why these guys are so different from any other crab is most crabs will have a pincher and a crusher claw. The blue crab, however, only has 2 pincher claws, and for that reason they're like super sharp. Another cool fact is that these guys are found all throughout the Atlantic Ocean. You could get these all the way from New England all the way down to Florida. Like even in Texas you could find these guys. They're so mean that they have no problem taking their comrades with them. Look, they don't even know what they're pinching at. They're just pinching each other. My favorite way to eat these guys are when they are soft shelled. The Maine lobster is the most popular lobster species sold across the United States. They have 2 different kinds of claws. In the left hand is a crusher claw. This is the one that they're gonna use to crush bones and their prey when they're in the wild. Oh, he's trying to get me. He's trying to get me. On the left-hand side is the pincher claw, and they're gonna be using this to cut through fish.
They even have secret baby claws on the bottom of some of their legs.
There's a big debate in the seafood world over what people like to eat more on a Maine lobster, whether it's the tail meat or the claw meat. Drop a comment saying what you like more between the claw meat or the tail meat on the Maine lobster. This lobster particularly is nearing the end of its life, and I could tell because it has shell rot.
Shell rot is a disease crustaceans get when they get too old and slow to molt their shell. As a result, they outgrow their shell, become very uncomfortable, and eventually die from this.
People spend hundreds of millions of dollars on these things a year. They are one of the most popular seafoods in the world. You find them all the way in Asia, despite not being caught in Asia.
And now for the 3rd most popular seafood in the US.
The Dungeness crab is very popular amongst Westerners in the United States. And the reason being is because you mainly catch them throughout California or Oregon or all of those places that are on the west side. It's very unique in flavor compared to the other crabs. It has more of that umami taste to it. The reason it has that umami flavor is because it has a lot of head butter in it. This is called the carapace of any crab, any crustacean. Inside there is a bunch of yellow stuff, and that's the stuff that gives that umami flavor. What's he doing, bro? Why is he foaming at the mouth like that? I don't like that. Something else really cool is that you could actually lift down their apron. I don't think he's... Ew! Now for the 2nd most popular fish in America, the halibut. All right, let's flip it just for the halibut. Okay. Ew, they never got it. Ugh. The halibut is a very unique fish. Often people call them a doormat because they like to lay flat on the bottom of the ocean, really kind of like as a doormat. A unique fact about them is that when they're born, their eyes are on both sides of their face, but as they grow up, both of their eyes migrate to only one side of their face. It is a predatory fish, specifically an ambush predator, and it's really just waiting for anything to come by, thinking that it's just the ground, and then slurps it on up. And it's funny too, because how they swim is not like most fish. So most fish will swim through the ocean like this, like a normal fish. The halibut swims like this. You guys get put in a shot of a halibut swimming.
And finally, the last thing going in our seafood boil. It's a stone crab.
What makes it a stone crab is its painted claws. They kind of remind me of like a girl when she paints her nails. These guys are very similar to the Dungeness crabs, and that's because they live in similar waters. All throughout California is where you will find this California stone crab. Look at this side-by-side comparison. The blue crab has so much more of a thin body compared to this one. Out of all of the stone crabs, the Florida stone crab is the most popular, and it's sold in the hundreds of millions of dollars across the United States.
Now that we've seen some of the world's most popular species, it's time to prep our ingredients. But remember, one of these has a dark secret that I'll be revealing at the end of this video.
These are the ingredients you're gonna use for your boil.
3 corn, 1 onion, 3 lemons, 4 cloves of garlic, and a bunch of potatoes.
Step 1, you need to peel your corn. Now you need to cut their knobs off. And now obviously these corns are like too big for anyone to enjoy in a seafood boil, so we're just gonna twist them in half. Time to prep our onion. Oh! And now you're gonna crush up your cloves of garlic so that they're out of the little wrapper that they're in.
Now it's time to cook everything. And in order to cook like a chef, you've got to dress like one.
We're gonna start by adding a lot of salt to your pot. You do this because you want your seafood to be saltier than the ocean, and there's a lot of salt in salt water. As your water is boiling, you're gonna add a bunch of the seasonings that you have. This is the list of seasonings that I'm using right here. Now, all of this is not for the seafood boil. Most of it is, but some of it is gonna go in our delicious butter dip that we're making. Every time you add something, you're gonna go ahead and give it a nice little mixture. And now I'm gonna add a half stick of, well, really like 3/4 of a stick of butter to this boil to just give it extra flavor. Oh, ow, ow. That's kind of really hurt, actually. Now we're gonna add 2 whole things of garlic. Onion. We're gonna do all of the lemons. Just freaking, oh. Bit a nice little stir. I also found some parsley in my fridge. Wow, yeah, that was a good choice. Oh my goodness, I almost forgot the sausage. This is actually really important for like any seafood boil recipe. It adds like a nice spice to a lot of your flavor throughout it. I hope the mystery YouTuber likes sausage. Now that your water is hot, it's time to put in your seafood. We're gonna start by putting in our hard-bodied seafood first, and that's because that's gonna take more time to cook. Oh, they're swimming. The soft-bodied seafood, like the prawns, are gonna take a lot less time to cook, so they're gonna go in last. We're gonna go ahead and do the slow dip on this guy. It's time for our Dungeness crab, and these guys are gonna be so good in the boil. I actually have a second main lobster right here, and this one is very youthful. Yeah, see, they don't feel pain, guys. Don't trip. Comment if you think the lobsters feel pain or not, because I don't. Ow! I definitely freaking feel the pain. That really hurt. And then I got a bunch of extra crab just because you guys know how much I love my seafood, so these are all going in there too. Get in there, you pesky crabs. Now we're gonna put in all of our prawns, our halibut fillet, and our salmon fillet. While we're waiting for our boil to cook, we're gonna make a delicious butter dip. Oh, wait, I did that the wrong way. There we go. You're gonna start by adding salted butter. I prefer a whole block because I have a lot of seafood I'm going with. You're gonna wanna make your butter dip on a medium-low heat, even low. You really don't want it to burn. Once your butter is melted, you're gonna add in this seasoning. This is gonna be the leftover seasoning that you had from earlier. Now we're also gonna add in some chopped garlic. That's gonna give it that like nice garlicky flavor. And now make sure you give it a nice mix so that the seasoning really melts in with the butter and gets a little bit of everything. Under no circumstances do you want your butter to start to brown, okay? So because of that, we're gonna go ahead and just move it off of this flame, and then when the seafood is done boiling, we're gonna put it back on to heat it up again. Time to add in your potatoes because there's only like 10 minutes left in our boil. You wanna make sure they're like in the water submerged so that they actually start to boil, get soft, and more than anything, absorb the flavor of the seasonings in the boil. Now it's time to put in our corn. I would definitely recommend getting a pot and like enough water that could actually hold everything that you're cooking. Okay, now we're gonna give that another 10 minutes or so.
After letting it boil and pouring our delicious butter dip into a serving cup, it's finally time to give a detailed rating.
Oh, look at that. It's actually boiling. It looks super good. All right, are you guys ready? The moment of truth, the moment we've all been waiting for, the dump. Oh no, it just didn't work. Oh. Okay, all right, well. As amazing as this boil looks, I am not the one rating it. It's gonna be the mystery YouTuber. So let's give a warm welcome to Alfredo! Oh, thank you, Nick. Okay, so to make sure Alfredo is as comfortable as possible rating this, I'm gonna step out so that he can say whatever he wants to. Okay, I'll see you guys later. Okay, now that Nick is gone, it is time to rate the seafood boil. Now, most people think that they don't even know my channel. Little do they know, I am very popular YouTuber, similar to Nick, believe it or not. But maybe this little collab will be very good for me, who knows? I'm very excited to try what Nick has so nicely prepared for me. Now, one thing about me is I'm very harsh critic, okay? What should I try first as Alfredo? So we saved the most popular for last. So first, let's try a Dungeness crab, okay? This is the least most popular seafood. Alfredo really likes these, but how did Nick do it? Dismantle this crab. The best part of most crabs is the inside of it. Open that. Ow! That hurt. We're going to rate the leg. The inside hurts too much. A small zip in the butter. Okay, look at that. Beautiful first bite. Will it be terrible? Let's see how Nick did.
Alfredo likes the Dungeness crab. Nick did not do too bad. 7.2 out of 10.
Alfredo needs to try potato in between every bite. Alfredo says good. Okay, We go on to the spotted prawn. Alfredo also hears there's a secret about one of these seafoods that might change the way you look at them forever. This is the spotted prawn after it's been cooked. We open, we are going to give it a nice generous dip in the butter. Alfredo wishes you could have a bite, but I will have bite for you.
The spotted prawn, they are very pretty, but do they taste good? They do. 9 out of 10.
Alfredo must have bite of corn in between this bite. Alfredo like. Now Alfredo must try the main lobster, but he wants the small main lobster. This is because they taste better than the big main lobsters. Alfredo's favorite part is the claw. So we go ahead, we open up. Alfredo takes big knife. Oh, haha. Generous deep in the butter. Okay.
If this was just lobsters, this would not be good score. However, the seasoned butter very much helped with this one. 9.2 out of 10.
Alfredo takes raw bite of onion now between next bite and this bite. This is the onion I'm eating. It looks delicious. Beautiful for cleansing palate. We will eat this delicious stone crab next. Yes, look at this stone crab. Its claws look delicious. For this stone crab, we rip, we rip claw. Oh, look at that little butter.
The stone crab. Alfredo likes this one. Lots of meat, even though not being big crab. 7.2 out of 10.
Alfredo has a special taste for fish, so now we will look for the salmon in this. Oh, this salmon is overcooked. Who puts an entire salmon fillet in seafood boil? Nick must be crazy, or maybe he knows something we don't. We about to find out. They're coming for Alfredo.
This salmon could have been better in my opinion. It was actually terrible and had no flavor whatsoever. 3.1 out of 10.
Alfredo eats sausage in between next bite. Yes. I see Nicholas also put an entire halibut in here. What is he thinking? Let's give it a shot. Oh, my mustache, it fell off. That halibut is not good either.
Oh, what is with Nick putting in the fish in this seafood boil? I don't like. 2.4 out of 10.
What was Nick thinking with that halibut? That was a terrible idea. Might be the most popular seafood, but not in seafood boil. I eat onion now.
The good news is that we are finally down to our last seafood.
The blue crab. I hear this one is very popular in the United States. Now, the trick to eating blue crab is to rip their heads off. Like so. Oh, this blue crab is pregnant. But then you open and you crush them. And you crush them. And all that orange stuff is pregnant. Okay, we eat the inside of the pregnant. That's fire.
Nothing can beat the tasty flavor of the blue crab. Maybe unless it's main lobster. 9.2 out of 10.
Now that I have tried all the meals, it is time for you to understand the secret that will change the way you look at seafood forever. But not by me. It will be by Nick. He did an okay job. That pesky Alfredo, he's quite the character, isn't he? Drop a comment if you want to see Alfredo in future videos. Now to reveal the secret that the seafood industry does not want you to know. Just about every crab that you're eating when they're commercially harvested will be oozing a black gooey substance. And in large concentrations, this black gooey substance can actually be toxic. The gooey substance that could kill you comes from any crab that is commercially harvested, so enjoy your crabs.
Now finally, it's time to head to Thailand to show you guys the rarest lobster I could find.
In my hand right now are 2 Australian rock lobsters. Now you might notice the one on the right is entirely pink. In this video, we're not only gonna find out why this lobster is pink, but also compare it to the taste of a rock lobster that doesn't have the same pigment. Believe it or not, I discovered this lobster on accident. We were walking through Thailand and I looked and I wondered to myself, why is this thing pink? I've never seen or heard about it in my entire life. I started doing some research and I couldn't find any explanation on the internet for it, and I spent the last day and a half finding out why this thing is actually pink. On the internet, they call this the white run lobsters. And pretty much what happens is a juvenile lobster will molt its red shell and ow! They're so sharp, guys. When a lobster becomes pink like this, it's extra susceptible to predators because it's not as strong as the super red lobsters. So if you notice at the top of its shell, it has several spikes, but if you look at the red lobster, it has way more spikes than the pink lobster. That's because it's a juvenile and the pink shell is significantly weaker. Taking a look at the bottom of this thing, you can really see just how pink it is. And when you touch its shell, it's not like it feels soft to the touch. You know, some lobsters, when they're in like a molted state. You could press it and the shell will literally press in. However, if you're feeling this compared to the red lobster, it is going to be significantly softer. Now, catching a pink lobster is extremely rare. It happens sometimes between November and February, and because the lobsters that are pink are susceptible to predators, they all march into deeper waters. You'll find a line of these lobsters miles long, literally, I'm not exaggerating at all, and they all walk exactly 283 degrees north into the deeper water. The reason why is because the mature, more red lobsters will kick the smaller juvenile lobsters or weaker lobsters out of the coral reefs and holes in the shallow areas. So these guys have no choice but to pretty much go deeper. Scientists across the world says that this is a global phenomenon. It only happens in Western Australia. Now you might be asking yourself, Nick, how does this thing know what exactly 283 degrees is? The lobsters can constantly feel the Earth's magnetic pole, so that's how they know exactly where to go. You can see these lobster walks all throughout different species, but this is the only one that goes exactly that degree. They usually settle somewhere between 100 and 200 meters in murky water so that they're able to be well hidden. That's between 300 and 600 feet below sea level. And when taking a look at this thing, it very closely resembles a lot of species of lobsters that are spiny lobsters in the United States. People on the internet hear a rumor that sometimes when you put a lobster straight into boiling water, it'll start screaming, they can feel the pain. I personally don't believe these crustaceans feel pain, but because you guys do, I'm gonna put it out of its misery. What you're gonna do is take a sharp object and you're gonna find a little bump on his head. That's where you're gonna put it. Ugh. Those are all just nerves. He's definitely not alive anymore. Now it's this guy's turn. This one is a lot more angry. And if you take a look at his spikes, these spikes on his shell are so much more developed here. This guy looks mean, okay? I'm intimidated by him and I'm not even a fish. And you're just gonna... Oh, this shell is so much harder. Now to make sure we really taste these lobsters, I just want to go with a simple recipe. We're just going to boil them with salt and water. Whenever you're boiling seafood, you want to make sure that you salt your water really well so that you keep that salty flavor from the ocean in the lobster. If you use fresh water, that flavor is going to escape pretty easily. The age-old problem on my channel, this crustacean probably won't fit. Yep, he doesn't fit. We're going to rip the sucker in half. Wow, very interesting. When looking at the meat, you see that it has a little bit of a pink hue to it. I'm very curious if that's gonna add or take away from the flavor at all. This guy's turn. Wow, this guy's really in there. It's pretty amazing how hardy these crustaceans are because even without an entire body, this thing is still kind of moving in all different directions. Having the two tails next to each other, you see just how different in color that they are. And even when you're taking a look at the meat, you see that the pink lobster is just a little bit lighter of a hue compared to the red one having like a super white tint that we know in most lobster species. Now that we have a rolling boil going, we're gonna put in our lobsters. To make sure I know which one is which, we're gonna put them in on different sides. Okay, so this lobster, is gonna go towards the top of it. Oh, the tail is moving right now. If I had to guess, the lobster is reacting to the salt in the water right now. And now we're gonna put the red lobster in on the opposite side. Bro is actively trying to escape the pot after he's been ripped in half and euthanized. It's wild. Now we're gonna put the top on just so that the parts that aren't directly in the water steam nice and good. The first thing I noticed when looking at these lobsters is that the one that was pink is still pretty pink. Starting out by removing the normal Australian rock lobster. Wow, look at this guy. Ow, boiling water on my face. And this is the pink lobster. Dude looks albino. It's actually wild. So the first thing I noticed on this is that his eyes are a different color than the red one once it's cooked. This is the pink lobster tail. It turned kind of like a bright orange. Very interesting. I was really expecting them to be the exact same shade after it was boiled, but there's a reason for this, okay? We are in experimental mode. How do they taste? Are they the same? Are they a little bit different? Is one more tender than the other? There has to be answers to these questions. I'm the guy to do it. Starting with the pink lobster tail. Got a nice strand of lobster poop. Everybody knows this is my favorite part. Okay, looking at the meat, it's a very familiar white color that we see whenever we cook a lobster. It doesn't really look pink anymore or any discoloration than we're familiar with. Now we're gonna get the meat out of the red lobster tail. Wow, see, an instant difference that I noticed is that the red lobster, it really does have a much harder shell. Ugh. This thing is so hot. I just burned my hands so bad. You can see after they're cooked, they look pretty much the same, but that doesn't mean that one isn't more tender than the other. Starting with the pink lobster. And now onto the red lobster. Wow.
I've made my analysis.
What I noticed is that the pink lobster meat is sweeter. It's not that the meat itself is sweet, it's just comparatively speaking to the red lobster, it is a lot sweeter. When I take a bite of the red lobster, it's a lot more firm. The pink one was a little bit more tender. The red one has a very salty and savory taste to it, comparatively speaking to the pink lobster. Now, if you were to get served one or the other at a restaurant, I don't believe you'd be able to tell the difference. The only way that I know is because I'm eating them back to back with each other. And something else that's kind of strange is that I noticed there isn't any lobster butter in this. Ow! I stabbed myself. Oh, I was wrong. Look, check it out. This brown stuff right here is my favorite part. This might as well be liquid gold. I would buy this by the ounce if it was sold like that. So creamy, so good. A little bizarre that it's not yellow. In most lobster species, it usually is. Let's see how the red one is. Maybe it will be yellow. Super interesting. So the inside of this lobster is significantly more yellow. The first thing I noticed when I cracked these two is that the pink lobster has almost no lobster butter, and on top of that, it has like a gray brownish hue to it. Now, when looking at the red lobster, you see that it has so much more lobster butter inside. And whenever I say lobster butter, it actually means the liver. Looking at the liver in the red lobster, it has a much more yellow hue to it. And it's so creamy, it's so delicious.
That red lobster is gas.
All in all, this is my synopsis. The pink lobster is cool, okay? It's a cool party trick. With that being said, I believe the red lobster is better. It has much more savory and familiar flavors that we know. The pink lobster is a little bit sweeter than the red lobster in the meat, but it's not way sweeter, okay? It's just like not as savory, I guess is a better way to put it than to say sweeter. The liver, dead knockout. The red lobster is so fire. If you're ever at a restaurant and someone tries to serve you a pink lobster, say, hey, yo, give me a red one.